We start on a rather troubling note as the latest road accident statistics from the Motor Transport and Traffic Directorate show that Ghana's road accident mortality now stands at 1,927. This is from January to August 2021. Last month, the figure stood at 1,706. In August alone, however, 221 more people have been killed on the roads. This shot up the number of mortalities to 1,927. A total of 1,298 people were injured in the same month, August, raising the number of injuries recorded in the last 8 months to 10,597. Are we really in to win the fight against road carnage in Ghana? We'll get talking a bit more into a bit more detail, but first let me share the August data with you to put our conversation into perspective. Now, as you can see right there, the 2021 accident statistics, this is for August only. Number of cases reported stand at 1,300. Number of persons killed, 221, as I was indicating earlier. And the number of persons injured, 1,298. Those are the latest statistics. Again, when it comes to the month of August, deaths per vehicle type, motorcycle leading again, 93. Commercial vehicles with 74 and private vehicles with 55. So the motorcycle incidence rate still very high. The number of persons killed, August, only if you look at the regional distribution, the Greater Accra region is top with 48. Eastern region with 34, Central with 21, Western with 8, and then we have the Ashanti with 46, very close to what the Greater Accra region has. Volta with 10, Northern region with 5, Upper West and Upper East with 7 apiece. The Bono region with 4, Bono East with 12, Ahafo with 7, Oti with 2, Savannah with 4, Western North with 6, and the Northeastern region with none, which is actually to be celebrated there. Those are the details when it comes to August, this past month of August. We also have the January to August statistics in 2021. Number of cases, 10,820. And by the way, those are the ones that were reported, 10,820. In all, number of persons killed, 1,927. And the number of persons injured, 10,597. Again, when you look at the breakdown according to regions for the entire 6-month period, 6 to 7 month period, you would have Greater Accra topping again with 439. Of course, right next to them is the Ashanti region with 403. But before that, Eastern with 313, Central with 140, Western with 75, Volta with 78, Northern with 44, Upper West with 31, Upper East 72, Bono 59, Bono East 88, Ahafo 51, Oti 15, Savannah 65, Western North 49, and this time the Northeast records a total of 5 for the half-year period. Let's go via Zoom now and speak to the Director of the Motor Transport and Traffic Directorate of the Ghana Police Service, Superintendent Dr. Samuel Sosu Mensah. He joins us live with some more on this. Doc, thank you so much for joining the conversation. We'd like you to break it down for us. Between January and August, we have had these very high numbers. And it started right from the very top of the year when we suspected that it would go this way. But it appears so far we've not been able to nip the problem of carnage on our roads in the bud. Why do you figure that is?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. The issue is quite clear. What we see is that road traffic crashes now is a major health, it's a social, economic, and a developmental problem to the nation. In spite of the fact that the stakeholders, we have embarked on massive efforts to make sure that we downsize the problem, yet the accident rate is increasing at maybe right now what we see is that it is increasing. but at a decreasing rate. So basically, that is the key issue. But the crux of the issue basically has to do with the fact that road traffic rules and regulations have been made for drivers to abide by the rules and regulations. We have the Road Traffic Act 63 of 2004. We have the Road Traffic Regulation 2012 LI 21A. But it seems the drivers who are driving the vehicles have not even seen the road traffic rules and regulations, and they are not abreast with the content of the traffic rules and regulations, but yet they are driving on our roads. So when you go out, you realize that most of the drivers, the rules and regulations that have been made for us to abide, they have not even seen the rules and regulations. They have not even read the rules and regulations, yet they are driving on our roads.
Right.
So suffice it to say that if you are a pastor, you are supposed to go to the church to preach. Obviously, you should know the content of the Bible, what the Bible says about various topical issues. But here is a case where those who are driving on our roads, the content of what they are supposed to abide, they don't know. So if they don't know it, if they have not read it, and they have not even seen the rules and regulations, then how can they drive efficiently and effectively? That seems to be the major problem. That is why the accident rates are quite increasing.
So there seems to be a gap when it comes to information, road users, and what they ought to know, how they ought to approach using the roads, and what exactly they should be doing. But if you look at the statistics, we're experiencing, some of the highest we've seen in years, even at the half-year level. As far as your outfit is concerned, what do you feel can be done between now and the rest of the year, the end of the year, to ensure that we get past this situation? Because now it's becoming horrific what we are seeing on our roads.
You see, when we say road safety management, it is basically a collective and shared responsibility. It means that you, who is organizing this program, you have a role to play, just as the police also have a role to play. The driver unions, drivers also have a role to play to make sure that the accident rates go down. But the police, basically, what we are tasked to do is to enforce traffic rules and traffic regulations. In spite of the fact that we have been on the road enforcing traffic rules and traffic regulations, drivers are becoming increasingly more indisciplined. They are not respecting traffic rules and regulations. So what we would like to put across is that every stakeholder should try and make sure that that particular stakeholder is acting or contributing to downsize the spate of road traffic accidents by playing their roles effectively and efficiently. Basically, the police, we are supposed to enforce traffic rules and regulations. So there have been new initiatives that is on board. And this was currently instituted by the Acting Inspector General of Police, Dr. JoyNews. And the initiative is very simple. We are going to add technology to traffic law enforcement efforts. So by this, what we have done is that we have established a traffic surveillance and monitoring center at the police headquarters over here. And the function of the traffic surveillance and monitoring center basically is to make sure that they give live feeds, or we are putting surveillance on activities that are occurring on our major roads and highways. If people are speeding on a certain stretch of the road, there is a camera there.
Well, it appears we're struggling with a connection to do with Dr. Mensah, who actually is with the MTT We were just breaking down the statistics from the police MTTD, I should say, showing the mortality rates in this year between January and August, and also the regional breakdowns, the monthly breakdowns, and what exactly has been happening. You can see the footage of one of those accidents and how gory they have been in this year. He was also making mention of the fact that the attitude of road users is itself problematic, as people, some of them don't even know what to do. Dr. Mensah, so you were making a point. Could you quickly wrap up on that?
So what I was saying is that the surveillance center that has been established by the current acting Inspector General of Police is to make sure that it gives live feeds, the camera system on basic roads and highways, and gives live feeds to us. So drivers who are not driving very well, we are able to. So the crux of the issue is that the center is able to, at the end of the day, capture events that happens on our roads. Drivers who are not driving well, we are able to capture those events, and as a result of that, so you see that it would not need the sheer presence of the police on the road to enforce traffic rules and regulations. But back at our back office over here, back at our back office over here, at our center, we are able to drive. We are able to see drivers who are not driving well, to take the necessary preventive actions against them.
My very final bit to you, now with these measures that you have outlined, do you feel they're going to suffice in terms of lowering the rate of accidents on our road by year end? Do you feel they are going to be able to effectively deal with this menace?
So the issue is that we have done education, awareness creation, and sensitization. But right now, what we are going to do is that we are going on the ground, to ensure police visibility on the road, to make sure that this increasing spate of road traffic accident, the increasing carnage on a road attributable to road traffic accident, is generally going to be downsized.
Dr. Mensah, thank you very much for engaging with us this morning. Dr. Mensah is at the helm of affairs at the MTTD. Now, the director in charge of planning and programs at the Road Safety Authority, David Safo Adonting, also joins us with more on this very same subject. Engineer Adonting, thank you for joining the conversation. Now, we've sat in this very studio and had discussions before on the carnage on our roads and how to mitigate the situation, how to get out of the woods. But it appears we're not making any real progress as far as the statistics are concerned. I'll pose the same question to you. Why do you feel that is, and what more are you looking forward to seeing us doing to curb this rate? We shall try to get Engineer Adonting back. We just lost him briefly on the line. We'll reconnect with him so he shares his thoughts on the question that I posed. We'll take a quick look at some of the statistics that we just put forward a short while ago, just to help us know the severity of the situation. And August-only statistics when it comes to road accidents point to the fact that the number of cases reported in total are 1,300. The number of persons killed, 221, and the number of persons injured, 1,298. That is just for the month of August. Deaths per vehicle type, you would see that motorcycles, like we've been speaking about, are atop the list with 93, commercial vehicles next with 74, and private vehicles following with 55. And these are statistics for August only. Again, when you go to the regional distribution for August, you would find the Greater Accra leading the pack, ignominiously, of course, with 48. Then there's Eastern with 34, Central with 21, Western as well in there. I see. Then there's Ashanti with 46, Volta with 10, Northern with 5, Upper West, Upper East with 7, Bono with 4, the Bono East region for August with 12, Ahafo with 7, Oti with 2, the Savannah region with 4, Western North with 6, and the northeast region with no casualty as far as the month of August is concerned. But when we expand it and look at January to August, that's about 7-month window. The total cases reported 10,820. Then you can look at the fatalities amounting to 1,927. And that, by the way, is more than we've lost since 2020 to COVID-19. Then there's the number of persons injured at 10,597. We now have Engineer Adonting joining the conversation. Engineer, I was saying that it's scary, the statistics that we're looking at by way of road accidents this year. Maybe to rephrase, I would start with the road situation and whether we've done enough to avoid some of the unnecessary carnage we see on our roads.
Good morning to you, the panel team, and then to everybody listening to us this morning. We have just been provided with the figures, and thank you very much for letting everybody know what is happening in the last 8 months from January to August. The number of cases of crashes, the deaths and injuries, I think have all been put out, and indeed, it looks very scary. Very scary to all of us. And I know that when we started the year, we were highly optimistic that we were going to work hard, not only as the National Road Safety Authority, but together with the media. And I know the efforts you have put in as an institution, multimedia in particular, and then the National Road Safety Authority, how we came together and implemented what we call the Arrive Alive campaign. Always speaking to people, engaging groups, individuals, stakeholders, transport operators, road users generally, and everybody. The last time we did an evaluation a couple of months ago of the Arrive Alive, we could see the level of sensitization that we put out there. Publicity has gone high to close to about 81%, which means that people listening, they hear, they know it is happening, but they wouldn't just accept the responsibility to do what is right. I think that if you ask me what is the next steps, we have said generally that in terms of efforts, you agree with me that a lot is being done. We have issued out the vaccines. I always call it the vaccines. The vaccine for road carnage. We have mentioned the road, in particular, the road infrastructure, which we said at this time of the country's progression and development, our roads wouldn't have to see a big change, a huge change, because vehicle population have grown, human population have grown. We have said that as we're looking at smoothing up the roads in terms of the surface, we are also thinking of opening up, widening. And that is why the issue of dualization came in. And I know the Minister of Roads and Highways and his agencies are working very hard towards this dualization issue we're talking about. We are talking about street lights. We are talking about road line markings, road signs, and all that. We are also dealing with situations about enforcement. And I think Supo Sasu has just indicated the efforts the police are doing. But, my good friend, one vaccine, which is not expensive, that we don't need to spend money. Government doesn't need to spend money. It's the attitude of all of us, our attitudes and our behavior. We are not going to spend money. When I tell you that as a driver and you hit the road, you should not overspeed. How much would it cost you to reduce your speed? How much would it cost you to minimize or eliminate what we call the wrongful overtaking? How much would it cost you for wearing your helmet? How much would it cost you as an individual pedestrian to cross a road using the zebra crossing or the footbridge?
But pardon my interjection, Engineer Adonting. We also know that it's human nature to want to not always tow the right line. People always break the rules, and that is why we need the right mechanisms. In other jurisdictions, you would get a parking ticket, maybe once, twice, the third time your license would be withdrawn. There are very punitive measures that ensure that people willy-nilly go by what must be done, and that saves lives. Don't you think we should be getting to that point? Have we done enough in that respect?
I think I agree with you that now that we have all seen that in terms of public education and sensitization, it's gone up. Whether it is negative or positive, people are aware of the risk we take, and then the measures we must all do. And that's why I'm saying that the vaccines are already out there. Now, one of the vaccines is the roads. One of the vaccines is about enforcement. And I think that now we are moving gradually away from now dealing with the human attitude with just talking. But we must go with the kind of systems that can compel, and I will repeat that word, compel, force people to do the right thing. And one of the things coming up is the police enforcement technology that they are bringing on board. I think we must encourage it, we must support it. These are systems that are being used across the world and has put them in a position where if we compare statistics, then you see that they are doing better. Better means that the systems are there. They are monitoring. They have eliminated the human interaction. And so cameras are watching all day, 24/7, apprehending individuals who flout the law and punishing. And that is where I come to what you have just said. Punishing with tickets, with other sanctions that will make people do the right thing. They will fear the system. I think that this is where we are. And so in the next advocacy that we are coming up, we're going to support the police to enhance, to spread out, and widen the scope of this technology idea that they have brought on board, surveillance system. But beyond the surveillance should be the prosecution where the ticket system would now have to be applied. I think this is where we should be going, my good friend.
My final bit to you has to do with the roads themselves. When you take out the human element, you're left with the roads, and sometimes they are very problematic. The Cape Coast stretch in the central region is one of the deadliest. In fact, I think according to one of the latest statistics, it is the deadliest in the world, if not in our continental area. People have called for expansion of the road to avoid some of the head-on collisions that we have seen. Aren't we waiting far too long? In the meantime, aren't we losing too many lives when we could have nipped this in the bud?
I think that has already been said and it's been established. The fact that we have kept too long as a country in trying to widen up our roads to take up the level of traffic volume that we see currently. I think we have all established that. But having said that, we have the government has already demonstrated its intent to open up and do the dualization of that particular stretch in the coming years. But you see, the problem is that dualization won't take a year or two. It takes about 3 years, 4 years. But in the meantime, this is what we have. And so this is what we must do. You know that I pass on that particular stretch. You do. But I go and come all right. Why I go and come is because I follow the rules and the regulations. In any case, it is not right and correct that that road particularly is the most deadliest road in the world.
Well,
I think we have
let me just say that there's one of the recent statistics that point that it's one of the deadliest in the world.
Well, perhaps maybe you're qualifying with one of the deadliest. But indeed, it is a problem stretch. We call it one of the accident-prone highways in our system. And so it is up to us, individuals, whilst we wait for dualization to come. And even if dualization will come, my good friend, it is only going to solve one particular problem, the head-on collisions. Without the head-on collisions or not, we still need to change our attitudes. After all, we have the motorway, which is also dualized. But tell me, how many times have we not woke up in the morning to see a crash on the motorway? Right. So even if you have multiple lanes, 3 lanes, 4 lanes, 5 lanes, it will still not matter if your attitude is still the mindset is not changed. So I want to take advantage of this opportunity that all of us should speak to the fact that people must change. That is the vaccine. It's a free vaccine. Let us change
a free vaccine. Well, thank you very much, Engineer Adonting. This is where we'll have to wrap it up. I'm very grateful for your time. Also very grateful to Dr. Mensah of the MTTD. Meanwhile, one person has been reported dead in an accident at Buankra near Kumasi last night. The cause of the accident is yet to be established. Many others have sustained injuries. We'll get the details and share with you later. But now, let's bring sights and sounds from the accident scene as we have it now.
I am stranded. Obianko, Obiamba. What's time now? 3:05. According to the report, drivers in na FM. I'm waiting for an answer. I don't call hospital.
Well, Ghana has received an additional 244,800 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccines to complement the ongoing nationwide vaccination exercise against COVID-19. This was announced by UNICEF Ghana in a tweet yesterday. According to UNICEF, the acquisition was made possible through the Africa Vaccine Acquisition Trust Mechanism by the African Union and supported by the World Bank and UNICEF. Total cases recorded in Ghana currently stand at 120,003. Of this number, 1,047 have died from the disease, with 112,099 persons recovering. The ongoing vaccination exercise is to aid the country reduce the effect of the disease on its populace and in its fight against the global pandemic. So what's the plan for the rollout of the additional vaccines that have been acquired? The head of expanded program on immunization at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Kwame Achianu, joins us on phone with some answers. A very good morning to you, Dr. Achianu. Congratulations on the acquisition of the additional vaccines. But before we zero in on the new Johnson & Johnson vaccine, how many kinds of vaccines do we have currently and which we are administering so far in Ghana?
Thank you very much. And good morning to you and your cherished viewers and listeners if I'm on TV.
Good morning, Dr. Achianu. Please go ahead.
Your voice is a bit distant, so I'm struggling to hear.
Dr. Achianu, is it better now? Is it better? Can you hear me?
Yes, better now.
Okay.
But essentially, I think you're asking of how many vaccines we have.
Yes, how many vaccines we are currently using in Ghana?
Yes, so the FDA actually has given approval or emergency use authorization for 5 vaccines. We started with AstraZeneca. Of course, if a vaccine is not given authorization, it cannot be used. So any vaccine that has been used in Ghana has passed emergency authorization. So AstraZeneca was the first. Then we had a few thousands of doses of Sputnik, which we used. And then lately we've been deploying some few thousands of doses of Johnson & Johnson. But additionally, Pfizer and Moderna have also passed emergency use authorization. Currently, as we speak, I would say that we are doing 2 different vaccines at the same time. So we're doing AstraZeneca, the second dose for those who receive their vaccines for between 10th and 29th March, when we started the first rollout. And then also a few doses of Johnson & Johnson, which we shared with the other regions, apart from the 2 major hotspots, which took almost 96% of the entire stock that we had. So currently we are doing 2, but one of them is on a very low key.
Okay, and I suppose that's Sputnik.
No, that's the Johnson & Johnson.
That's the Johnson & Johnson, which is what we are now.
We had only 21,000 doses.
Okay.
They came in 2 different components, slightly different vaccines. So once you gave the first component, you needed to reserve the second component for the same individual.
Okay.
For that, we are done. Quite a number of people turned up. I would say that the turn-up was more than 90% for the second dose. So our dropout is around, I would say, less than 10%. So
okay.
That is fine.
Dr. Achianu, very quickly, tell us, right before we get into this latest dose, those ones, since we've used, AstraZeneca, Sputnik, and now, Johnson & Johnson, have we faced any problems with the second doses for people, let's say those who took AstraZeneca, and then when we, face problems with procuring AstraZeneca or maybe Sputnik, have we at any point faced any shortages, any problems with administering second doses, which would require that some people might now have to start the process again?
No, you don't have to. First of all, you don't have to start afresh once you receive a vaccine. Technically speaking, a vaccine that requires more than one dose to complete a schedule. Once you get the first dose, is known as the priming dose. It doesn't matter the interval. Once you get the second shot, it's fine. You don't have to start one and again and again. No, you don't start over. The body will always have memory that you have received a vaccine before, even if it takes 10 years. So that shouldn't be an issue.
All right.
The other side of it is whether we've had problems getting vaccines. Yes, I'm sure everybody is aware that the vaccine landscape has been quite difficult, but of late we are getting quite a number of, some few millions of doses, especially in the next couple of weeks. There are several doses in the pipeline. So of late it's easing, but previously it was quite difficult.
Right.
And high-level management and everybody has been involved in getting us to this one.
Well, fortune seems to be smiling on us. Tell us now about the plan for this additional 244,800 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccines, which we received only yesterday.
Yes, so our principle for deployment has always been look at the epidemiology. Of course, you'd also, for any pandemic or if you are in an emergency where you have an outbreak, you look at those who are most vulnerable. And that is why we came out with the population segmentation. And of course, you also think of equity. So there are three key principles that we are working with. The epidemiology, looking at geographic and population risks, and then also equity. So if you look, the data speaks for itself. Greater Accra and Ashanti continue to be the hotspot. In fact, for all the cases that we have, about 70% or even more are coming from these areas. And that is our focus. But of course, because you want to engender demand, you'd also want to give some allocations to other hotspots like Western region, Central, Eastern, Volta, Bono East, and the other isolated hotspots that we have in the other not so hard-hit regions. But of course, we have to look at everybody because not until everybody is protected, nobody is protected. So that has been our principle.
Right. Two quick questions. Now that we have this current rollout, what has participation been like in the different regions where the rollout has already kicked off? And
well,
since
the rollout has been quite good. I learned that one of your sister stations put across the fact that some regions are not doing well. That is not quite true. The point is that these vaccines are earmarked for some particular people who are known. And so you would not expect queues that you would see when we are doing a fresh vaccination where people who are vaccine naive, in other words, they've never received a vaccine before, are supposed to go to centers for the vaccine. These are people we have picked up from the database, so it's earmarked. And that is why we came up with a date. Of course, some of them, interestingly, have also received those who were eligible, so to speak, who are supposed to be receiving these vaccines. Some of them have already received the second. And so, of course, we have the opportunity to move on to other people who need the second dose. So it's been good. To date, we've done about, in fact, many of the regions have finished. There are one or two which are still yet to start because they had wanted to finish the Johnson & Johnson, the small doses that we gave them so that they don't get they don't get the staff confused.
Dr. Chanu, the little bit I just wanted to add right before we move on is that if are we still on course in terms of vaccinating about 20 million of our population? If not, what have we revised the numbers to by end of year?
If we're looking at the pipeline, so by October we would go back. You know, our plans, plan is always a living document. And so by October ending, when everything has been put in shape, we'll go back and see whether we will still be on course. So it's early days yet. Otherwise, we are still working with that.
Doc, thank you very much for joining the conversation with us this morning. Dr. Amponsa Achiano, Head Expanded Programs on Immunization. Now, the Director General of the National Disaster Management Organization, Nanajaman Prempe, has appealed to persons living along the White Volta to move and join relatives and friends for the period that the Bagre Dam will be spilled. He said given the impact of the continuous heavy downpour Wednesday night, there is the possibility the dam would be spilled anytime soon.
The Director General of the National Disaster Management Organization made the appeal when he visited some chiefs to appreciate the effort they are putting in sensitizing their people on the havoc the spillage would cause. He said disasters are natural, but there are some measures that can be put in place to mitigate its effect.
Northern part of the country, you know already the whole land is saturated with floods all over the northern part of the country, and we are worried. We as NADMO and government is worried because one, we are losing lives, and two, the good people of this part of the country are harvesting their maize and other crops immaturely, which is not a good thing because it might affect the local food problems and food security in the country. So we are worried. But it is a natural disaster. There's nothing you can do about it. As you recall, quite recently, in Europe, all European countries experienced floods. In America, in New York City, everywhere we experienced floods. That is a natural disaster. But we can prevent some of the effects, and that is why we are here. We are doing sensitization all over the place so that people, especially those who are living along the rivers, will move to go and stay with their friends and relatives for the period the Bagre Dam will be spilled. We all know the Bagre Dam is full at any moment from now. If the rain doesn't stop, we're going to get the spillage.
They assured that government is ready with much relief to lessen the effects of the spillage on its residents.
I know the media is always quick to ask questions about relief items when there's a disaster. But when there is a disaster, the first thing you look at is the search and rescue aspect of it. Then we do assessment to know which kinds of relief items you should send to a particular place. But I want to assure you that government and NADMO is ready with much relief items to respond, to mitigate whatever the effects.
The chief of Tolong, Alhaji Yakubu Alhassan Tali, thanked NADMO for recognizing their effort and assured that they will continue to support in every bid. He blamed some of the disasters on shoddy work done by contractors and choked drains.
As you can see, there are bad contracts awards, but are possible. We won't award the contracts to people to work on the roads, to work on this. There are bidding and then not sharing about who will be able to on silver.
We take a quick break here. We'll be right back. Welcome back on Joy News Desk. Time now for Tech Talk, and we have the usual culprit. Spiky is here with me. Everything techie, spiky, techie, spiky. Anyway, so there's a whole lot we have to look at. Three major matters, starting with Microsoft Windows 11.
Yes. So Microsoft, you know, a lot of people are using Windows 10, and Microsoft has announced the new iteration to their OS, Windows 11, and it's set to launch on the October 5th. Of this year. Yes.
That's just a little over a month.
Yep. So yeah, for those who like new stuff like me, we're excited that something new is coming, and it's going to be apparently a free upgrade. So
free upgrade.
Yes.
So if you're on 10, we're just rolling over
to 11, which is something Apple has been doing for a very long time. You know, if you're using macOS 10.5 and 10.6 comes up, you just upgrade, just like your smartphone.
Right.
New OS, you just update. But Microsoft has been, you know, touted for charging for a license fee for Windows every single time. But now it's just a free upgrade, just like those who went from 7 to 10, except when you're buying a new computer, then you were charged the fee of the OS as part of the cost of the computer. Yes.
Some of us are not so techie in terms of wanting to roll over. And I was sharing with you that, Charlie, we've had incidents where you do this and sometimes you want to go back. So I don't know, but you will get the experience and you'll tell us a bit more about it.
Yeah, I definitely want to. You know what I mean? I love new stuff. Anytime there's new tech, I'm excited because then, yeah, I love change and tech is always changing. So that's why I'm in that field. It serves my purpose very well.
Speaking of these techie apps and all of that, it's a minefield of sorts. And we see WhatsApp now getting fined. Why is that?
So WhatsApp is being fined because of privacy concerns. You know, in the EU, there's GDPR laws that protect the users, making sure that your data is protected, and all the policies that are put in place to protect the users are enforced. And WhatsApp breached this by, according to the EU, by not explaining to the users well what they were using with their data, what they were doing with their data. And so imagine if you found out that maybe WhatsApp is using your data for something that you don't know. Maybe they're using it to build a better system, you know, but they didn't ask your permission. Under normal circumstances, most of these websites, you notice if you go to a website right now, you have cookies. They ask you to accept the cookies. This is GDPR.
So basically, you didn't let the users know that you were going to use their data for this.
And if they find out, you'll be fined, yes. And this is the second largest fine. I mean, it's $267 million. That's a lot of money. WhatsApp says they're going to appeal because, yeah, it's some way. It's a lot of money.
Let's wrap up with Apple. There's something new going on there.
So Apple has been, you know, they've been in trouble with developers because they charge Apple tax, which is essentially 30% of every single transaction done on iPhones or in any app that is bought from the Apple Store, sorry. If you bought an app and then you had to do a transaction in the app, say you were playing a game and you wanted to buy an extra life and it cost you $1, Apple would take 30% of that $1. And developers have been complaining, saying that,
like 30 cents.
Yes, it's not fair, you know. We put in all our efforts and then you're charging this. In other jurisdictions or in other stores, we are given the option to choose where the people buy from us. So someone should be able to buy from a different store and not be charged.
So now, basically, Apple is scrapping that.
So Apple is scrapping that for media apps like Netflix and the rest. Right. So if Netflix and the rest who people subscribe to on the App Store will not pay a 30% tax to Apple. Gradually, it may extend to other apps, and we're looking forward to that. Hopefully.
Spiky, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
For bringing us the scoop on Tech Talk. It's time now for business.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The National Pensions Regulatory Authority has bemoaned the low percent of working population enrolled on a pension scheme. Only 1% out of the 85% of the working population, according to the NPRA, are paying their pensions. Now, managers of the scheme are therefore rolling out a nationwide strategy to whip up interest and encourage enrollment, especially among the informal sector. Mona Lisa Frimpong has more in this report.
Stakeholders in the pension sector have observed private businesses and the public's confidence in pension fund management companies have dwindled over the past 3 years. This was after the Securities and Exchanges Commission revoked the licenses of some pension fund management companies. The situation is dire.
The private sector is always looking at the benefits that will accrue to us. Most of the time, it is the insurance people who has not lived to the expectation of the private sector. Now, is becoming a bit promising. So to contribute. We all want a better pension when we go on retirement.
Officials of in the informal sector so far have shown the least interest in the three-tier pension scheme. Stakeholders in the pension sector therefore observe little understanding.
Running of the schemes, various schemes in their country, are doing their job as expected. And because of that, we also do sensitizations. We do like what we've done today. Almost all the programs that these trustees do, we also do it because in conjunction with them, so that we'll be able to rope in more people, because as we have already stated, almost 80 to 85% of Ghanaians are in the informal sector. To be able to rope up these people into the pension scheme is what we are about.
This was revealed at the launch of a flexible retirement savings plan for informal sector by Negotiated Benefits Trust Company. The company is taking steps to enlighten the informal sector workers on the benefits of retirement benefit or pension schemes membership. William Asiedu Yabua is CEO.
We do these engagements to enable the education to continue. The MPI has also been doing a lot of education, and we as a company, we believe that the engagement should continue. But believe me, retirement is somebody everybody believes that is far away. But it is important we start the engagement.
Mona Lisa Frimpon reporting.
And that's business. Sports is coming up next.
Time now for sports. Oreko Ampofo is here to give us the latest. Oreko, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm good. It's a good day for Ghana.
Oh yeah, it's a good day for Ghana. How's it going to feature at Cape Coast?
So Ghana would be playing against Ethiopia, and it's a crucial one because, as you remember...
Like you, the sports guys will say crunch time.
Yeah, Ghana missed out on the 2018 World Cup after qualifying to 3 consecutive ones from 2006 to 2014. Yeah, and the 2010 one we actually went to the quarterfinal. So we reached a point where the World Cup was becoming a birthright, but we got a little bit of reality check in 2018.
Complacency?
Possibly, and so you do not want to go too long without qualifying. So if it extends to another edition that you do not participate, all of a sudden your pedigree drops amongst the elite nations when it comes to football in Africa. So it's a must-win game, especially to set the tone. Remember, just the team that tops the group would qualify to the next round. And so it's going to be difficult. Certainly, it's not going to be easy because you have to play South Africa and then you can't play Zimbabwe and all that. So
and there's only one slot.
Yeah, just one slot. So when you're playing against a team like Ethiopia at home, it's non-negotiable. You have to win and win pretty comfortably. But, Ghana hasn't been in the best of form, to be honest. Our last 2 friendly games in June, we played against Morocco. We lost 1-0 in that one. And then we played against Ivory Coast in Ghana again, and we drew 0-0. So we've lacked a bit of inspiration up front, something that CK Akono has addressed and said that it will get better with time. So we'll see how it goes today.
Well, we've heard, the GFA president, Kurt Okraku, speak to the Black Stars team, the coach himself, saying that if you think you can do it, this is where you have to prove your mettle. Yeah. So hopefully in Cape Coast, but Cape Coast has been very friendly to our Black Stars, in fact to the national teams, but especially the Black Stars. So hopefully we'll get something good out of Cape Coast. Yeah,
and I think the major concern is not even Cape Coast. I do feel Ghana would find a way to get all 3 points tonight. Right. But the most important one will be 3 days later when we go to South Africa. Remember, without the Premier League players. Yeah. And so, the likes of Jordan, Daniel Amate and Jeffrey Schlupp would not be able to feature in that game. And so that's where it gets tricky. And that's where we might need new heroes to step in. So, but first, of course, you have to go through what is before you. And that's at Cape Coast tonight. And we'll bring you live commentary too at 7 p.m.
Oh yeah, look forward to that one when some heroes move aside, new ones step in. Oreko Ampofo for bringing us the sporting news there. This is how we wrap, but before we go, let's take you through some stories that you can actually check out on myjoyonline.com. And you can check out this one. 25% of COVID-19 infected persons in the OT region are health workers. That's according to the regional health director. That and more stories on myjoyonline.com. Thank you for staying.